think that's where a lot of people go bad with a pup. They throw them in a pen and just throw feed to them every day. And to me, you got to make a connection with them. Some guys don't agree with me on that, but I think you got to have a good bond with a dog.
It's real simple, I think, with a pup, and a lot of people don't understand it. When a pup is ready to start, it will start. You can't force a pup to start, and you can't force a pup to treat. It has to do it on its own.
Hello and welcome to the Stark Outdoors Podcast. I'm your host, Clayton Stark, and today's episode is going to be with Eric Emery. And for those of you not familiar with Eric Emery, you may have seen him on my YouTube channel when I went hunting with him and that English coon hound Big Lee, and Big Lee is actually owned by Chris Harley. And I met Eric at the Tournament of Champions last year. He was there with J.R. Gray, and I got to meet all those guys on the final cast. And of course, on that final cast, J.R. Gray won with Willie's Conor McGregor. And we actually sat down and recorded this podcast before the Grand American, which is pretty cool because Chris Harley, the man that owns Big Lee, ended up winning the Grand American, and I interviewed him last year at Autumn Oaks, and he said that that was a goal of his. He's been really close for the past few years of winning it, and he actually won this last year. So I just like to say congratulations to him and his family. But before we get into that interview, I'll just give you a brief update on kind of what I've been doing lately. If you follow me on Facebook and YouTube and stuff, you'll probably have already known what I've been up to, but this last week, I got together and went hunting with the Dunlap family, which the Dunlaps, they've been coon hunting for a very long time. And when I say the Dunlaps, I mean Don, Chuck, and Colton Dunlap. And between the three of them, they have 8 world championships. And they're really great people, and I got together with them, and we sat down and recorded a podcast before it got dark. And then once it got dark, of course, we went outside and turned some dogs loose. And I wasn't really sure what I was going to be getting into because it was super cold and the wind picked up when I got there, and it was snowing and kind of icy and muddy out. But we ended up looking at 7 coon, and their dogs did really well, so I'm excited to share that video with you guys. And then the next morning after that night, I went on my way home and stopped at the Jukebox Kennels place. They're putting on their annual meat hunt, and I interviewed Chuck Gallardo, and then I went hunting with his son, Mark Gallardo. And of course, we sat down and recorded a podcast to get some of the history behind some of the Jukebox dogs. And then we went to the woods and we treated a couple squirrels. It was pretty crazy, to be honest. They have a few woods they saved back just for this meat hunt. And I'll just let you know, since we did that podcast before we went hunting, we didn't really get turned loose until close to 10 o'clock. And between 10 o'clock and about 1 p.m., we treed 18 squirrels. So that will be a very, very good video. Whether you coon hunt or squirrel hunt, the dog work and the history is really great, and I know you'll really enjoy that one too. And of course, if you've also been following me, you'll have known I've been hunting that Fogger pup for a little bit now, and he was doing really good, and Birchall came and got him, and he's been hunting him, and he's looking pretty good. And I know I post about it all the time, and a lot of you have probably already heard it, but there might be some new people out there listening to this, so if there is, I'll just leave a little audio clip here so you can get an idea what this pup sounds like. And remember, this pup is 11 months old.
Cut him loose. Went about 300 yards in there. Went in about 50 yards and made a straight right hand turn. We're about 250 and just blew up on a tree. So we'll go in there and see if he has anything. Good boy.
And since Birchall got that pup back, I'm going to be hunting a female for him named Widowmaker. He got her to breed a Frogger when she comes in, but she's off of J.R. Gray's 2-time world champion Gray's Rackham Willie, and then a Zeb 3 female. And she's a gorgeous dog, and I look forward to hunting her and bringing you guys videos of her in the woods. And that's just kind of what I've been up to. And one last thing before I get into the interview, just to give you guys an idea of what the scheduling looks like, the Dunlap Houndsman Spotlight Series featuring Chuck, Don, and Colton Dunlap. The video on YouTube goes live January 22nd at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, and then the podcast for the Dunlap family goes live at 6 a.m. on Monday, January 23rd. And then the Houndsman Spotlight for the Jukebox Kennels, that video premieres January 29th at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. And the Jukebox Kennels podcast premieres Monday, January 30th at 6 a.m. So I hope you're looking forward to that, and I won't hold you guys up any longer. So here's this week's episode with Eric Emery. All right, well, I'm sitting here with Eric Emery. You want to just introduce yourself a little bit. Tell us kind of how you got into it.
Yeah, I'm Eric Emery. I'm from northwestern Indiana. Pour concrete for a living. Coon hunt a little bit. Been hunting about as long as I've known. My uncles got me and my brothers and some of my buddies into it. It kind of took off from there. We never did a whole bunch of competition hunting. It was more just hide hunting, pleasure hunting. That's what we lived for.
Do you remember the first dog you hunted with?
Yeah, first dog was a female my uncle had. She was a night champion. They called her Tim's Little Jazz. She'd be the grandmother to the Uncle Cracker dog that Darren had on here the other day. She was a red and white female, and she was off of Cows's Big River JJ, which was out of 92 world champion Jesse. And that was the first one that a good one, I should say, I hunted with.
Yeah. So is that what you started with for the most part, or just English dogs?
That's all I ever knew, buddy.
So that line of dogs, was that your uncle's line of dogs then, or was that just a dog he had?
He bred his females to Rory Cow's line, and that's kind of, I wouldn't say it was our line, but that's what we hunted, was his line of English dogs, Boyd's Little Joe, tap breeding.
Okay.
And then like that, my uncle would always keep a female, and he would breed to whatever stud Rory had, and that's kind of what we went with them pups.
That's interesting. That's why I like talking about stuff like this, because you can kind of get an idea of, like, when you're reading bloodlines and pedigrees and stuff like that, of like where the dogs come from, but it's different when you get to talk to people about that actually been in the woods with them and kind of the history behind it, some of the more details.
Right. Yeah, it's been a 360 since them days, hunt walker dogs mainly now, but I mean, I ain't colorblind. I still, if it's pink and it's a coon treer, I ain't a parts to it,
Yeah, I'm the same way.
That's the way I am. The name of the game's treeing raccoon, not what color your dog is. And I think if more people would open their eyes to that, there'd be a lot more better dogs.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that put way too much stock in the breed of the dog. I mean, I understand some people might have certain breeds that kind of fits their personality maybe more, kind of what they grew up around, but
right.
Just to be completely closed-minded and not be willing to hunt another breed, it's just, you're screwing yourself out of a lot of opportunities, I think.
Right, and that's a lot of things, kind of the way we was brought up. I don't know if it's for other people, but if you didn't hunt an English dog, I mean, nevertheless, they were prejudiced. There was no such thing as a good walker or a good black and tan. And then when we got a little age to us and started hunting and seeing for ourselves, it's like a wake up. Like, come on, guys, there ain't this many people hunting walker dogs, and they're all bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I understand why people get upset, because walkers, obviously, they win the most competition hunts. I mean, it's not even really close as far as the dog's performing at the top level, but people like to point out, like, some negative traits walkers might have, but they obviously, like, they tree coon. There's a reason why they're so consistent. And then a lot of people like to say that, well, walkers win so much because there's so many of them. Well, then why are so many people deciding to hunt walkers then if they're so bad?
Right. They're not breeding and hunting them every day because they're bad. I mean, look at your pro hound cover every month, and you'll see what's going on.
And like I said, I will hunt literally anything as long as it acts the way I like and trees coon consistently. I don't care what it is.
That's the way everybody should be, in my opinion.
So you started with English dogs. When was your first time kind of branching out to a different breed?
First time I really branched out, there's a guy about an hour from me by the name of Jason Cooper, and we would always pleasure hunt. And he had a female called Too Many Secrets. Some people probably remember her. She got third in the world hunt, or fourth maybe. I'm not sure what year it was. But Jason was working out of town a bunch, and he asked me to hunt her. And that was probably the first walker dog that I got behind. And she went on to be very successful. She's been in the Grand 16, Final of the World, doubled up at the PKC World stuff. I mean, I couldn't list all the hunts she's won, but that was kind of the first one. But it was like, it wasn't a handling job or anything. I was just helping a buddy out, you know?
Yeah.
And then from there on, I think I was at Walker Days. I met Tyler Stewart. I don't remember the year, but that's who kind of, I wouldn't say took me under his wing, but there for a couple of years, I stayed at Tyler's house Thursday to Sunday every weekend coon hunting. And he kind of showed me a lot about handling and preparation as far as dogs go. And that he was a good guidance for me. And we had a lot of good times. And he showed me a lot of tricks.
So did you competition hunt when you, like at first when you had English dogs at all, or did you not?
We would fiddle around a little bit in your local UKC hunts, but nothing major, you know?
All right. I just wondered if
we'd title them dogs out and, you know, make them a grand night or something. But as far as, you know, driving 2 hours from the house, none of that happened.
Yeah. Back then, though, too, I don't think that wasn't as common as it is now. Like we're now, there's a big hunt, like every night of the week almost.
Right.
That aspect of coon hunting, I think, has grown as far as the level of competition being like higher payouts and bigger prizes, and definitely more frequent.
Yeah, there's no way around that. You know, that time Tyler was hunting bushwhacker and Shane didn't live too far. He always had tank, and then Steve had big country time. Everybody called him Bo. You know, I grew up with them dogs. You know, everybody knows their names now, and I'm thinking, well, hell, I'm just, you know, out hunting with these guys, learning stuff. And then they go on to be so successful, and I never thought nothing about it. You know what I mean? I just thought we was pleasure hunting, having a good time.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, just like I said, with them 3 guys named Randy Gadd used to come up all the time and hunt with us. I mean, there was a bunch of guys there that treated me the same as the rest of them, and you look back on it, you're like, damn, they didn't have to do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's one thing I have noticed since I've started doing this. The people that like actually agree to hunt and have me over and we get together to hunt, like it doesn't matter if they've just won a few hunts or if they've won world championships and are some of the like most well-known people. And I don't mean just with walkers either. I mean like with any breed. They're just regular guys that they honestly care about the sport and just making memories. Like people like to talk about how like they'll ask if you're a pleasure hunter or a competition hunter, but to me, you're all just coon hunters. Like all competition hunters pleasure hunt unless they're at a competition hunt. Like if they didn't enjoy pleasure hunting, because they're not doing it for hides. The hides ain't worth money. You know what I mean? Like
that's what I tell everybody. If there wasn't never a competition hunt again, as long as I live, I promise you, dark, we're turning a hound loose.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just the way it is.
Yeah, that's. I'm sure there are some people out there that might not be into it as much if competition hunts didn't exist, but for the most part, I still think the backbone of what coon hunting is just getting together with your buddies at dark and going and turning your dogs loose and just telling stories and making memories, I think.
Getting away from your wife and not worrying about work.
Yeah.
We have fun, though. I mean, if you can't have fun, we ain't going to do it the way I look at it. That's what it's about.
Yeah.
There's a time to be serious and get right, and everybody knows when that is. But at the end of the day, like you said, if we can't enjoy ourselves, it's time to quit.
Yeah, and that's one trait I think I've noticed amongst people that have been doing it for a while. Because if you don't have that mindset, I think you'll get burned out doing it. If you think you have to go 100% balls to the wall and just win everything if you're a competition hunter, I think if you have that mentality, you're going to lose interest quick.
Yeah. That's like anything, buddy. You're going to lose eventually. And if that one lose breaks your day, you might as well find a different hobby. I can promise you that.
Especially when you're not the one actually out there on the field or in the ring doing something yourself. You're relying on a dog to perform for you.
Got a mind of their own. You never know.
Nope.
For sure.
Like around what age were you when you got together with those guys and started getting more serious?
I was fresh out of high school, so I'm going to say about 18, 19.
What were some of the biggest things you've learned from them as far as in the competition aspect?
Will to prepare. If you ain't ready to go, why go? You know what I mean? You got to know when to stay home and when to go. And a lot of people think, well, I hunted one night this week, I'm going to go win this hunt this weekend, and it don't work like that. I mean, it goes back to race horses, sporting chickens, anything, athletes, if you're not practicing and getting ready, you're wasting your time, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people weigh that out. Well, old Blue treat a couple this week. He's looking all right. Well, hour and a half later in that cast, when mine's sitting in there deep, old Blue's going to be, you know what I mean? Just so many variables that you can put into it. As far as preparation, I think is the number one key.
Yeah, and if that's what your competition's doing, if your competition is preparing at a certain level and you're not, then you're just going to be at a disadvantage. The other dogs are going to just be in better shape and used to that aspect.
Right. That's kind of what I learned. I remember going up there hunting with Tyler, and my dog would have long toenails. He'd be like, "Boy, you ain't been hunting." I said, "How you know?" He's, "Look at your dog's damn toenails." I'm like, "Man, this guy's sharp." Just stuff like that you can pay attention to. But I mean, it's just paying attention. With anything, with any animal, they'll tell on themselves.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's
same when they're not feeling good or anything. You just pay attention to your animal, and like I said, they'll work with you.
Yeah. What about, let's talk about shift away from competitioning a little bit. What about starting dogs? Do you get puppies very often, or just kind of get started dogs, or?
I usually do not mess with puppies. If we have a litter of pups, my brother Steve would do that.
Okay.
Once they're running and treeing, then we'll go from there. I should say I don't have the patience, but I don't have the patience.
Yeah, I understand. It seems the best way to get them started anyways, from my experience and talking to other people, is just letting them run loose and develop naturally on their own anyways.
Right.
So
I think it's like we talked about earlier, man. It's just time, and you gotta give them a chance.
Yeah. If someone has a place where they can just be out hunting just like all the time when they're really little, then I think that really helps progress them. And then if they start doing stuff on their own, you can single them out. Or do you ever take a pup hunting with another dog?
Yeah, we have. When we're first starting them, and they don't know much and stuff, we'll take them with old dogs.
And then at what point do you single them out?
Usually once they start split treeing, and I know the whole pressure, or if they're treeing ahead of the old dogs, like I said earlier, they'll about tell on themselves. You'll know when they're ready.
Do you mess much with drags or hang-ups or anything like that?
Buddy, I don't do any of that. You're talking to the wrong Emery brother on that aspect. I'd like to tell you I do, but I ain't going to lie to you.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that, because they do get very frustrating, because 99% of them takes some good, long, hard work to get them going in the right direction. And there's like that 1% that are just natural, and those ones are very rare.
Right, that's for sure.
You either have to be really lucky and be able to get that 1% often, or have a lot of money to where you can buy that 1%.
Yeah,
and I don't have either, so I just have to
work
hard.
Struggling both of them departments.
Yeah, so I just have to hope and pray I get one and put a bunch of time into it.
Yeah, that's a fact, buddy.
After your early 20s, kind of go from there as far as competition hunting, some of the people maybe, or some of your experiences.
Well, when I was over there hunting with Tick all the time, Dual Murphy used to come up and hunt with us quite a bit because they don't live too far apart. And me and Dual hooked up. I talked to him every day. And he had Piper at the time. And about that time, Melvin, they just purchased Melvin. So Dual wasn't hunting both of them. So I didn't have a dog. And we kind of hooked up on Piper. And that's kind of where I went for about a year. That's all I hunted. And I didn't really go to a whole bunch of hunts with her because with my job and stuff, I can't. But that's probably my favorite dog that I've ever had here. And I've had a handful of them, and she's really good to me, buddy. So
did you competition hunt her then? Is that what you're getting at?
Yeah.
Some?
We hunt her. Yeah, some. I got her in the year we won Walker Days. I got her in the finals, and then Dual won the hunter in the final cast. And, it was his dog. He raised her as a pup. He made it right with me. So I'm like, man, what am I out? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it worked out. We won that. Then we got her qualified for the TOC. That's kind of a funny story, too. The TOC, I had Connor at my house that whole season. I was hunting him, the Conor McGregor that won the TOC that year. And I was hunting him for JR, and Duel ended up going to Texas. And he said, hey, can you care to keep Piper for a little bit? I said, no, that's fine, you know. And he got in that accident or whatever. So I had Piper all spring, and I was hunting Piper and Connor together all kill season. And a lot of people don't know that, but you know, that heads up match, and oh, this is gonna be a headache. I've done this 100 times. You know what I mean? Just laughing back of my head. But yeah, them were the two I was hunting there for a while, and then when all that happened, they both got first and second. Man, that was awesome to see.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I'm sure most people didn't know that either.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
They stayed all winter with me. Yeah, did a lot of nice with them.
You know, doing what I do, it's really important that I have high quality equipment that's really dependable and long lasting, because I am on the road a lot and I hunt in very different conditions and terrains. Could be in the summertime, could be in the wintertime, could be in the mountains, or it could be in flat country. So I'd like to thank my sponsors for all their help making this possible and for all their quality equipment. I'd like to thank Dogtra and the Dogtra tracking systems and the Pathfinder, Big Dog lights, and my favorite light with them is the Big Dog Blitz, and the Genesis and Genesis Plus are great also, and I've used them for many years. Gundog house doors, because especially in the wintertime, keeping your dogs out of the elements is extremely important. So for long-lasting, high-quality doors for your kennels, check out Gundog house doors. But in the summertime, we have different issues to deal with, like a lot of thick leaves on the trees. So if you want something that'll help you see eyes at night, make sure you check out Bayou Legacy Game Calls with the Tree Shaker Coon Squaller. For high-quality coon hunting clothing, make sure you check out Coon Dog Wear. I'd also like to thank Conkey's Outdoors Hound and Hunting Supply, Ringtails and Talltails Hunting Supply and Taxidermy, Bill Shinniger and Saddle Up Cryo. I'd also like to thank Coon Hunter Supply and Razor Hunting Gear. We all love good coon hounds, and if you've been doing this for a while, you'll know how important having a good bloodline is. So when picking a new dog, make sure you keep these stud dogs in mind. World Champion, Platinum Champion, Davis's Rosedale Frogger, Grand Night Champion Saddle Up Lazarus, UKC Grand Night Champion 2, PKC Gold Champion, Backwater Bobo, and PKC Gold Champion, UKC Dual Grand Champion, Buck Creek Croson. And remember, since this is just a podcast, if you want to see the dogs in action, see what they look like, what they sound like, meet their owners, make sure you check out my YouTube channel where you can see all of them dogs in action. Where you're at, it's very similar hunting-wise to where I live, and it's pretty nice hunting. There's a reason why there's so many dogs, quality people and quality dogs around Ohio, Indiana, Kentucky, Michigan, like this area. It's a lot of coon, but it's not always like that either. So they have to work at times, and other times they can kind of ambush them. So they get experience doing both. You get the hot summer months, and then you get brutal cold winter. So they get a good look.
Right. That's the thing. Where like in the wintertime, I'm laid off from work, and I about have to keep two dogs because I get too bored. I'll hunt all night, all winter, and you'll just hunt one into the ground. You can't do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's nice to have two of them. That way I can rotate. You know, when this one's feeling good, I'll hunt him, or vice versa. You know.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of people, you know, kind of forget about that. You don't have to hunt one 7 nights a week and just bury them into the ground.
No.
You're wasting your time and your dog's time. And that's kind of my fault, you know. Like I said, with me being off work, man, I want to coon hunt. I've thought about this all summer, you know. And that's why it's good to have two around, I think.
Yeah. I always have at least two, and that's by two I mean too many. That's how many I have.
Yeah, there you go.
No, I usually have a couple good ones and then a bunch of young or mediocre dogs.
Right. And then I hunt with my brother, and Jaden Lovins, me and him own a female together. And I mean, we got enough dogs to go around. I shouldn't say that, but you know what I mean? It's just,
right.
You got to know when to go and when to stay home, just like we talked about earlier with the competition hunts. I mean, you can do more bad than you can good, in my opinion.
That's very true. I think it was on Steve Fielder's podcast. We talked about that a little bit as far as young dogs getting put in competition hunts. Have you had any experience putting really young dogs in hunts?
Yeah, somewhat. I mean, that goes back earlier. You got to know what you got. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, them young dogs tell on yourself, and if you put them in situations, you know, to be successful, like I like to keep them out of hunt. I mean, what do you got to prove if Billy made a night champion at a year old? Whoop-de-doo. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, you can brag about your young dog winning until it's not a young dog anymore, and then
Right.
that kind of wears off.
You know, Billy's a slick tree and alligator at a 3-year-old. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think people just a little common sense and hunting and anything in life kind of take you far away, but I think people kind of let it get the best of them sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, at the end of the day, like me and you were talking, a dog has a mind of its own. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And then you put it in a cast with 3 other dogs with minds of their own. You don't know what's going to happen.
You just failure, in my opinion. Yeah, you might look good on a couple coons, but how many of them bad habits is he going to pick up?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, when they're young, they're so impressionable to you just got to be careful with them. That's why I like hunting them by themselves once they're starting to come on, because you can control it a lot more, in my opinion.
Yep, that's absolutely it.
You can go out when the weather's right or the situation's right. You don't have to, well, the hunt's tonight, we got to go tonight, when you know it's not going to be a good night, and then maybe expose it to junky dogs or put him on top of a deer or possum that he wouldn't have been around.
Absolutely. Or when it's 12 degrees out and we're out for 5 hours. Man, how many hunts you go to and it's 12 degrees?
Yeah.
Come on now. You know what I mean? But that's just, like I said, you know, a little common sense. Take you a little ways in life.
Yeah. That's most people, I think, have that, but there's some people, I think, they get way too much. They get their ego into it way too much, to where they want that satisfaction of the win for themselves more than actually developing the dog, I think, is what it comes down to.
Yeah. That's a fact.
So I assume, I'm talking to you right now, I assume you're not going to the Grand American?
I'm not going to make it.
Have you ever been down there?
I have not.
I haven't either. I've had a ton of people ask me if I was going to be there. So, well, I'd like to, but it's like a 13-hour drive.
I plan on going back to Winter Classic. I went there last year. It was my first time, and man, that was good. I really enjoyed it.
How does that compare to Autumn Oaks?
Well, it's a lot cooler for one. That was nice, but it was a beautiful setup. Had a really good guide. JR had a good guide for us. And, I can't complain, man. I had a really good hunt, drew a really good cast, and enjoyed myself.
What dog were you hunting?
I hunted Connor down there last year.
Okay.
Yeah, we doubled up both nights, and he looked pretty good.
How did you come to meet JR?
That's a funny story. When I was hunting with Duel, him and Levi were partners on some dogs, and Levi and JR are partners on Old Willie. And I always teased Levi. I said, man, I'm going to breed a female to that dog. And he said, well, just tell JR to put it on my tab and it'll be taken care of. And we always laughed about it, but I kind of took it to heart. I called JR. I said, hey, man, I got a dog. And Levi said, put it on his tab. I'll be down there. What? You know what I mean? It kind of caught him off guard. He didn't even know who I was. And then we ended up breeding a bitch to him. And after that, I mean, he's one of my best friends.
Do you remember how long ago that was?
I'm going to say that was about 3 years ago.
All right, I just wondered, because I met all of you at once at that, I think it was a Tournament of Champions was the first time I met you, wasn't it?
Yeah, yep.
So,
I think JR come up for Walker Days the year Piper won it, and we was hunting quite a bit there for a little bit. And then I think after that Walker Days, in May is usually a pretty good month in Indiana to run for a truck ticket. And he ended up leaving Connor with me after Walker Days, and we missed a freaking truck ticket by like a $2.25 or something crazy. But we had a really good month. And then after that, I mean, heck, I talk to him every day. It just long lost brother. He's a good one.
And he sold Connor. What does he have now that he's hunting?
Well, he owns Scar, but she's up here right now doing a little boot camp. Then he owns the pet dog with Steve, my brother. And then they got a female called Hooker. that he's hunting right now.
And are they litter mates?
No, Peck would be a litter mate to Connor. He's off of Nick's Abby female. Then Scar is off of Lane Denny's Emmy female that won the world hunt and truck. And I'd be lying if I told you Hooker's mom. I ain't got a clue.
Is that out of Willie though?
Yeah, she's off of Willie.
That's what I figured. So do you have any hunts you're going to be going to anytime soon?
Yeah, it's getting busy pretty soon. We got the Tournament of Champions coming up. And then Scar hunts the spring 2-year-olds, Super Stakes. Try to get qualified for the World and Winter Classics coming up. Yeah, there's a bunch.
I just wasn't sure how much you're going to be traveling to those. But yeah, that's...
February's pretty slow. Wait, I don't know. Is Winter Classics in February or March?
I can't remember.
I think after February, it's pretty. There's a hunt every weekend.
Yeah, I know for sure. April is very busy.
Gets crazy, yeah.
Tournament Champions and Walker Days and
right.
All sorts of stuff.
Yeah, we're gonna try it. We got lucky and won the pup extravaganza last spring with Scar and was successful with that. And like I said, the TOC, he did real good. But
is she qualified for the TOC?
Yep, she's qualified.
How many of those dogs are they all qualified for the TOC?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I mean, I can't swear for it, but yeah, I know the 3 that I just named are, and then there's a couple handful more that, yeah, I think we're all qualified.
I figured, but I just figured I'd check too. Hopefully the weather and everything works out like it did last year, because other than the wind on that final cast, that for this time of year, it was pretty good.
Couldn't ask for no better, in my opinion.
Yeah, there was up until about the end of the cast, it felt like we just, in both rounds, we just walked nonstop, like they were just a dog treat somewhere.
Yeah, it was definitely, we got our steps in, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, hopefully we can have another good year like that. You just never know.
Do you have any other plans for any English dogs coming up, or are you just sticking with walkers?
I don't know. Like I said earlier, I ain't colorblind, I ain't racist, but it's just so hard. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You get used to a certain style, and I ain't saying all English dogs don't got it, but it just seems like the walkers have done better for me. That's just a personal opinion,
Yeah. I'd like to see some other dogs besides walkers do some
Absolutely.
I would love to see that. And I don't mean, obviously there's the ones out there winning, but I'd like to see something win, like a world hunt or something big is what I'd like to see.
That's how I am, man. We'll all be together hunting, and there'll be an English or a red bone in the finals. And I said, man, I hope that guy wins. They said, you know him? I said, no, but I hope the off-color dog wins.
Yeah.
And they all laugh at me, but I don't know. It's just the way I am.
And I don't have anything against walkers either, but like it would just be nice to see, because I mean, there's a lot of diehard people that hunt other breeds besides walkers. I'd like to see them have that type of success. Like I said, obviously they win at breed hunts and their local hunts and stuff, but I want to see something win a world hunt or something, just shock the world, win something big.
Absolutely. That's the same thing we talked about earlier. How many years and, nights of people hunted and just catch that break. It would be nice for them,
Yeah. Yeah, because they put in the same amount of work as everyone else.
That's a fact.
And spend ungodly amounts of money just like everyone else do.
Absolutely.
Pretty much, is there anything with you or your life that we didn't really touch on as far as coon hunting wise?
No, I mean, not a whole lot. Like I said earlier, if I never went to a competition hunt again, it wouldn't hurt my feelings. I just like the coon hunt,
Yeah.
And I think that's what, I shouldn't say made us successful, but like I said earlier, just the drive to want to go hunting. And that's kind of where I am. When I pop that snap, I want my dog to have one thing on his mind. I want him to tree coons, I don't want him worried about your dog, worried about me shotgun. I just coon, you know what I mean? You got to have that on your mind, my opinion. Yeah,
I've said that a few times recently about dogs that I've hunted with. Like, I think it was in that podcast, one of the podcasts I was on talking about Frogger. That was one of the things I really liked about him when I've seen him go. He he didn't have anything else on his mind other than running as fast as he can the entire time he's cut loose until he is underneath a coon, and then he's blowing the top out of the tree.
Absolutely. That's what we're all after. They might just not admit it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, everyone, like...
At the end of the day, you know, if they take away strike or they lower the tree points or however they want to do it, the dog that trees the most coons is going to win the calf.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no way around that.
Yeah, everyone wants a deep and lonely dog, but I just want the dog that trees the most coon the quickest and doesn't make mistakes. That's what I would want.
That's the winner. I don't care where you go. You know, from Texas to Indiana, if you tree 3 more than the rest of the cast, guess who wins?
Yeah.
I mean, it goes back to common sense.
And anymore, like, I haven't been in the woods with just about any dog of any breed that worries about, like, covering dogs that much.
Right.
And I don't mean, like, just regular some guy down the street. I mean, like, people that competition on quite a bit. Their dogs are usually pretty naturally independent anyways. So, like, that shouldn't be... I mean, obviously that should be a trait that if you want, you should want it, but that shouldn't be super high up on your list because that's kind of the only people breeding dogs right now are competition hunters. So they're not going to breed dogs that are not independent.
Well, that's like kind of what I went back earlier, you know, if that dog's worried about you beating and stomping and shocking and he ain't worried about treeing a coon, he's worried about getting away from you. You know what I mean? Just because they're 8/10 and 3 seconds treed with a coon, that dog didn't hunt that. Come on, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks flashy. It looks good. But, you know, when coons ain't moving, then what? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, you're treed 3 miles out of pocket. Well, that's going to win you a bunch. You ain't ever going to hear him.
Yeah, say that if the wind's blowing in the wrong direction or if it doesn't have a world-class mouth, then you're screwed.
You're training a dead horse. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I shouldn't say that. I like when they move around and hustle as good as anybody alive, but you got to be participating if you're hustling, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. And I don't care what anyone says. If the dog they're handling or hunting, they turn it loose and it runs as hard as it can and goes in there and strikes and trees a coon quicker than the other dogs in the cast consistently, they're going to like it. I know.
Absolutely.
It doesn't matter if it trees one at 20 yards or 2 miles. If it trees it faster and more consistently than the other dogs, I think that's going to be what everyone's looking for.
It's what we're all after.
Yeah.
That stuff just never impressed me, you know, how far this one is. That's cool, but you shouldn't have to do that. I mean, we coon hunt. You know there's coons. Flip your light up in the trees. You're going to walk to 2.
Yeah. Especially if it's a good night and they're moving good and they're doing that's why I really don't like it. If this time of year, if there's like ice and snow on the ground and they're just not moving at all,
usually,
then that's different. Like if they're just going until they actually find a track and then they're hunting the entire time, that's different. If you live in this area, it's dangerous to do that because there's not timber big enough for a dog to do that without crossing a few roads.
Right. That's absolutely. And I don't mean to say that the wrong way. Like I said earlier, man, I like a dog to go hunting as good as anybody. My stuff's gonna go hunting, but you know what I'm saying.
Right. I mean, let's
go hunting. Let's not go for a jog. You know what I mean?
For most people that have been coon hunting or squirrel hunting or anything for any amount of time, obviously we're not saying that you want a dog that kind of just hangs around and you got to kind of like walk it through the woods.
Absolutely. Then get cold.
Yeah. You want a dog that you turn loose and it runs just as hard and fast as the one that goes 2 miles. But if it comes across a coon before that 2 miles, it's going to tree it.
Right.
You can give 100% and tree something close and give 100% tree something far away too.
If I turn loose in a section and there's 8 coons in the section, I want you to tree all 8. The way I always looked at it, if we're going to tree the one in the back of the woods, I'd have pulled back there and turned loose.
Yeah.
I mean, that goes back to common sense. But, you know, different training and people like different things. I'm not knocking it, saying it's a bad thing. I'm just thinking I don't know. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's just different strokes for different folks.
Yeah, because, I mean, if we're talking competition hunting wise, you get points based off of strike and treeing a coon. You don't get points based off of the distance the dog covered to do that.
That's it, buddy.
So I just want that dog to put the most points on the paper as quickly as possible and make sure it's more than the other dogs in the cast.
Right. And that's same for pleasure hunters, coon hunters, hide hunters. If we're hunting, the name of the game is to tree the most coons.
Yeah.
I mean, that if these hunts went away tomorrow and no one ever competition hunted again, them 3 mile dogs would cease to exist. Seriously, think about it.
Yeah.
No, why would you walk 3 miles to one tree when we just passed up 5 walking to you?
Yeah.
Them dogs would cease to exist from coon hunting, if you want my opinion.
No, you're right. I mean, and those dogs came into existence out of competition hunting. It's not like pleasure hunters and hide hunters were breeding dogs to go 2 miles.
Right.
Especially like nowadays with tracking systems and side-by-sides, four-wheelers, and pickup trucks, like, it's not a big a deal to some people because they can just watch the dog on a screen go 2 miles and then drive to him. Right. But like back in the day, like if your dog would go that far, you're walking a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot. And that's another thing, like you said, man, the Garmins and everything, people need to just set that down, listen to your dog, and he'll teach you more than that Garmin will, I promise you.
Yeah, that is good advice, especially if you're gonna compete and you need to know the intricacies of how that dog sounds and opens on different tracks, whether that be its locate or anyone that's done this for any amount of time, they can tell how that dog's barking if it's going to have a coon or not sometimes. Like you can tell,
or if they're in a hole or on a fence, or
you can tell if they're right or not.
That goes back to timing and not looking at that Garmin.
Yeah.
That just is what it is. If you don't pay attention, how are you going to know?
I don't know what your experience is with like the tree switch on those collars and stuff. Anytime I've used them, they don't work. Like if a dog's treed, it might show it's treed sometimes, but it's a good thing they're not 100% accurate, because I think some people, they wouldn't even need to hear the dog bark. They would just completely go off what the Garmin says.
Yeah. They were the ones you want to draw.
If you put too much emphasis on that tracking system and reading your dog off of that, then you're missing a lot of what's going on.
That's kind of me and you talked about. You coach football and I used to coach football, and like game film, how we break it down and you like to study that. That's kind of where I was when I was getting into competition hunting. I would drive all over and hunt with different people and just kind of, watch what they did and how they trained and how they did this. And you can learn, from different people and different things at work. And, that don't involve a Garmin or doing this, doing that, just paying attention, And I think a lot of, young hunters or people, if you be a little more open-minded and be willing to learn and not think you're a know-it-all, you can, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, because there is a lot of older guys out there that will not turn down a request to go hunting with an inexperienced or new person or a young person. So, I mean, and that's one of the biggest reasons why I do this, is because there's, for some reason with, especially coon hunting and squirrel hunting with dogs, people tend to just promote themselves or their own product. And that's kind of, if they're in the media landscape, that's what they do. They just make it all about them. I try to capture stuff that people 30 to 50 years from now can look back on, and they can see Ed Mead or Dick Brothers or these people that have hunted for 70 or 80 years, and they did it before all the knowledge we have now. Like they figured it out on their own, just them and a dog in the woods. They didn't have Facebook, and some of them didn't have books and magazines back then to even go off of, other than maybe like the Full Cry went back clear back into the 30s and 40s. But I mean, that was it.
Still in 1930 or 2040, the dog that trees the most coons is going to win. I promise.
Yeah. And that's what I posting videos of that Frogger pup and how he balls on tree. And and people say, I don't like that. I like chop mouth tree dogs. Oh, well, I don't care. I can hear that dog treed from 6 counties away, and he has a coon in the tree.
That's the name of the game.
I don't like. That's great. His dad chopped and balled both on tree, and his dad won a world championship. So I don't. If chopping on tree was most important to me, I would hunt like a feist or a cur, because some of those things can rattle barks off.
Well, I promise you, that guy complaining, if he hunts a little bit more, he'll realize that bone on the tree ain't his worst problem. I can promise you.
Yeah, it's always so.
A whole lot more things than nitpick.
I know it cracks me up because it's always like it's people that have never had a dog or enough dogs to be able to be that picky. It's like, so the dog is consistently tree and coon, but you don't like it because it doesn't chop.
I mean, that's just preference, but like I said, at the end of the day, if you're tree and coon and squalling, I'll walk to you.
Yeah.
You know, that's the way it should be. I mean, that goes back earlier, just kind of being brainwashed or whatever we was talking about. I mean, preference is fine. Whatever you like's fine, but at the end of the day, we still got a tree coon.
Yeah. That's one of the biggest things I see that kind of gets on my nerves on the internet is that gets completely ignored and glossed over. It's all, where does this dog come from? How does it open? How does it, like all this, like how many coons does it tree when you turn it loose? How accurate is it? Like right. That should be the most important.
The big picture.
Yeah. That should be the most important thing is when it trees, does it consistently have coon in it or not? Like that should be the number one thing. Not, does it bark 5 times on the ground or 6? Does it have an orange collar or a red collar?
Yep, that's it, man. But, like we were talking about there, most of them guys asking them questions hardly hunt.
Yeah.
And, really when they start saying that stuff, well, buddy, you're kind of telling on yourself. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I ain't going to call you out on it. I kind of chuckle at myself, but you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, if you do it long enough, when you find a good one that consistently puts coon in the trees, you don't care what it is.
Right.
And
you ain't going to nitpick that much.
And it's funny too, because like when I get together with all these different people, there's very rarely any of them that like stick to a single breed throughout their whole life. Like,
right.
Like a lot of the guys at Hunt Walkers that I've talked to and met, they started with blue ticks or English dogs or something.
Just like you said, I ain't partial to any breed. If it's a winner and it's good, I'm happy. I think that's what keeps coon hunting so interesting for all of us. I mean, my goal every night is to tree more than I did last night, and just to watch that dog work and different spots, different opportunities. It's fun for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's really an endless pursuit because you're developing an animal to do something. I don't know if there's something wrong with me or if something wrong with everyone else, but there's nothing like taking a dog to the woods and having them open on track for the first time, or if you have a really loud dog, taking it out when it's dead calm and just hearing it blow up in the wood. There's nothing like that.
Compares to it.
No. I like deer hunting. It is awesome getting there first thing before it's even light out and seeing the sunrise and seeing all the animals wake up and move around. Like that's beautiful, but it doesn't compare to
20 minutes to our 8 hours.
Yeah. The whole process of like, if you get a dog from a puppy, I mean, you get that dog 12 weeks old, all the memories and all the work and journey of getting that dog to where it's open and on track for the first time. I mean, that could be a year's worth of work finally starting to pay off. And then if you're going to compete, like there's nothing like it.
It's sad too, man. The young generation, a lot of people ain't hunting a whole lot anymore. And it's kind of sad to see, really.
Yeah. That's something has been brought up some. And I know I could be wrong, but since the fur market is worthless, I think back in the day, a lot of people just hunted because it was a great source of extra income. You could go out, get some extra spend time with your friends. I mean, just kind of experience what we do now, the way we do it now, but right. There was a good financial incentive to do it. So the people that maybe loved it 75% did it, but once they lost the financial incentive, they just kind of grew away from it. Where now, if you do it, you're not doing it for the money for the hides, that for sure. You're doing it just because you love it.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, at this point, you're losing money.
Yeah. Yeah, dog food skyrocketing. Just cost of everything in raising a dog is just through the roof.
But that's like you said, man. You just gotta love it.
You got to be little. You have to have a screw loose, and you have to really enjoy it.
Yeah, that's for sure.
I still think though that if you took a person out that enjoyed dogs, like I always thought, like if someone just completely just not experienced, doesn't even know what it is, if they love dogs, if you told them that there was an activity they could do that would be good exercise for them and their animal to do together, and then took them out and let them listen to that dog work and do what it's bred to do, they would love to go do it. Like I think a lot of people just don't have the exposure
or opportunity.
Yeah.
You know, like you said, with Grandpa and everybody quit hunting, how many young kids actually even get to know about it?
Yeah.
I mean, that's same with, like you said, pups, any activity. If you don't have an opportunity to learn, you ain't going to.
But I feel like recently it has become a little bit more popular online, at least, to where there's like a higher awareness of it, where maybe 10 or 15 years ago, before the internet really was as big as it is now, most of the media and advertising and kind of the marketing behind hunting with dogs was all through magazines. So then, like, people had literally, unless they had a family member that would get one of the magazines, they had no chance to be exposed to it. Where now, it's all over Facebook and TikTok and stuff. So hopefully that plays a positive role in the future and keeps people interested in it at least.
Yeah, I mean, they're the only hope. That young generation don't get into the sport it ceased to exist. It is crazy, man. I remember being young, you know, like I said, hunting with my uncles, you'd see 15, 20 dog boxes in town, and now if you see one or two, it's me or my brother.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's just
exactly right.
It's gone.
Yeah,
it's
never
crazy how that works.
Yeah, it's exactly like that here too. Used to be able to go outside at night, and if it was dark, you'd hear dogs treed in about every direction. And now the only thing, if me or my cousin, that's about the only people in this area doing it.
That's the same way here. There's a handful of buddies, but I mean, like I said, usually when we go hunting, we're all together anyway, so you don't ever run into no one, it seems like.
Yeah, which, I mean, it's kind of a blessing too, because back then, everyone killed 200 coon or so a season to make money, and now no one's doing that, so...
I know, it's got me scratching my head wondering where all these coons are at, because I ain't doing nothing.
Well, this people don't understand, this time of year in this area, they like going in holes and ditches and brush piles and in barns and stuff that you're not going to tree them in more than they do trees.
That's what I love here. You know, you live in northwestern Indiana, there's coons everywhere. Come up here in December, buddy. Let's try it.
Yeah.
You know?
December or January or February.
Yep.
And some, not this year as much, but some years too, like in Ohio, season comes in November 10th. So like some seasons you might get 2 or 3 nights of decent hunting before the weather just absolutely destroys the season.
Yeah, that's a fact.
Michigan, I know Michigan comes in the end of October, so they usually have a little bit. I'm sure northern Michigan doesn't, but southern Michigan, they have a little bit more time to get some decent hunting in. But
I've always said that Indiana needs to go in October like that, because just like you said, how many times in November is it a complete whiteout?
Yeah, and especially now with just people don't trap, and there's not as many people coon hunting. So, I mean, I don't think it's going to hurt the population any. And I'm sure most guys, even if that happened, they're not going to just go out and slaughter them like crazy either. They'll just give them like if you have a young dog going, you can take them out and knock them one out in October.
Right.
You can take them out when it would be best for the pups if you can get a young dog out in October when the weather's still good and they're moving, and knocks them out to them.
Setting them up to be successful. You know what I mean? The opportunity's there.
Instead of beating their heads into a den tree when it's 5 degrees below zero.
just wait till January and we got to walk the snow up to our ass and kill something. Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and yet we still do it.
We ain't figured it out yet, but we're gonna still keep trucking along.
Yeah.
I guess.
We'll still be out there.
Yeah, I think we covered about everything under the moon. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I enjoyed it. I hope they find it interesting.
Yeah.
I'm sure they will. We talked about a lot of different topics.
Right. Like I said to me, buddy, if we can't have a good time, we ain't gonna do it. That's the way it should be.
Well, it was nice to get to talk to Eric, and I hope I can get together with him and go hunting soon. And I really hope you're liking these podcasts, and I hope you're liking my videos. And I really look forward to sharing it all with you, and I'll talk to you next time.
He ended up treeing 7/10 of a mile. Had my light on coming in, and he had another coon, so turned him loose 3 times. He had 3 coons.